Hi guys, welcome to the third episode of Coincunews Podcast. I'm Kaz. I will be the host for today's show. So in today's podcast, we will discuss about on-ramp will accelerate mass adoption of crypto in both CSAO region and worldwide. So today's guest, we will have interview with Banxa's Chief Commercial Officer, Josh D'Ambrosio, and Head of Strategy, Jan Hartmann. So hi guys, welcome to the podcast today.
Thanks for having us. Good to be here. Thanks for having us.
How are you guys?
Yeah, we're good. I know it's crypto winter, but we're also just coming out of regular Australia winter as well. So on the weather side, things are looking up. So hopefully on the crypto side, it's soon to go the same direction.
Okay, that's really cool. So did you guys join the Token 24/9 in Singapore before?
Yes, we were there. We just got back last week.
Okay, so how do you find the Token 24/9 so far?
We really enjoyed it. It was well attended, high quality of visitors we work with anyone who wants to accept fiat to crypto deposits into their platform, and there was many exchanges and wallets, but also DeFi platforms, for example. And just in those segments, we saw a wide representation and attendance. It was a good event.
Okay.
I'd probably say it's my favorite event of the year, actually. So Jan and I and the rest of our team have been to a number of conferences around the year, but we haven't been to a conference in Singapore for about 3 years, and it was so good to finally be back there. There was so much atmosphere, obviously with the F1 on at the same time. We kind of had a lot of energy, and everyone was just sort of, you could see the building that was happening across the industry. So that was super exciting.
Yeah. Did you guys go to see the F1 as well?
Yes, we had the pleasure to do that as well.
Okay, that's really great. So yeah, I also joined the Token 24/9 in Singapore as well, and then after that I had to fly to Thailand to join the expo in Bangkok as also. So for me, it's after the events, really tight schedule, but it's really great that you guys could be able to manage your time and then attend my podcast today. That's really amazing. I appreciate that.
No, of course, it's good to be here, and
Okay, so maybe before we start, can you guys introduce a little bit about yourself and also the background of Banxa?
Sure, I'm happy to kick off.
Okay.
I'm Jan, Head of Strategy. Been with Banxa for over 5 years now. Looked after payments, sales, and now more on the strategic side. And I guess Banxa is a globally operating payment provider focusing on the crypto ecosystem. So we enable basically anyone who wants to onboard users from your credit card or your bank account, or even cash if you'd like to, into the crypto ecosystem. And so you can find us mostly in exchanges, like Binance or KuCoin or Robi, but you can also find us in wallets, like Edge Wallet, for example, if you want to easily buy crypto or deposit crypto into your account anywhere in the world. That's basically what we do today. Pass over to you, Josh.
Yeah, thank you, Jan. Josh D'Ambrosio, very similar background to Jan, been with the company about 5.5 years, been on the incredible journey of seeing through two bull markets, and I guess now two ongoing bear markets. And really kind of been working closely with Jan actually on understanding what's happening in the industry, where are the opportunities, what pain points can Banxa be solving. And I guess as Jan said, we really focus on priding ourselves on having best-in-class payment and regulatory infrastructure, and then just providing the right tools to make that really easy to integrate into a range of different products and segments.
Okay, that's really cool. And how long have you guys been in the blockchain industry?
I was very, very fresh when I joined was it maybe July 2017. So had a little bit of exposure before that, but it was quite the wild ride watching that first 6 months rocketing up to $20,000 Bitcoin at the time. But yeah, it was 5.5 years for me.
Okay, that's
let's say when I started, Binance didn't exist yet.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, that was it just started, but also Binance is not that old. It's 2017. But like it's just always fascinating to look back. In the grand scheme of things, five and a bit years is not that much. But then in crypto, if you look back at how the state of play was at the time and how it is today, it's just really fascinating to see how rapidly and quickly we've evolved.
And we can't
as an industry.
We can't compete with some in our team. I think some of them are 2013, 2014, maybe a few even earlier than that. So they're the real OGs in this business. But we've had enough exposure, I think, to feel like we've got the battle scars as well.
I mean, to me, like for you guys, like you guys like OG in the blockchain already. Because for me, like I've just joined like last year. For me, like luckily, I joined in the bull market, so everything was like like a pink dream over there. But it's okay. Even now it's bear market, but I'm still confident and very positive about the market.
Still here. That's good.
Yeah. So,
that's what counts.
Okay, so maybe could you guys I heard the information that you guys have, the crypto adoption continue to rise Central and Southern Asia, and NFT in particular are a massive gateway to cryptocurrency in the region, with nearly, I think it's 60% of the web traffic from CSAO IP address to cryptocurrency service in Q2 of 2022 related to NFT. But however, purchasing an NFT is no easy task. So what do you guys think about that? And do you guys have any solution for it?
Firstly, you're right. It's not an NFTs. Firstly, I guess last year we really saw NFTs firstly getting sort of general attention in the mainstream through firstly, I guess, sort of more speculative art projects, like for example, Bored Ape Yacht Club, that got some attention for selling some of the same value as an apartment, essentially, or even a house in some places. But then I guess what we saw in particular was, and particularly in Southeast Asia, was the adoption of gaming NFTs. And I think the first one last year was definitely Axie Infinity, which I think got incredible traction, and particularly in Indonesia, in the Philippines and Indonesia, and Vietnam as well, like basically anywhere in Southeast Asia. So you could really see, like particularly in the pandemic, people, like an incredible influx of users, and I guess talking about like getting into the ecosystem, those were mainly users that had never interacted with crypto before. So that was the first touch point, getting into the kind of Axie Infinity ecosystem with NFTs, but also, you have two different tokens in there and so on. And I guess what we looked at was, okay, we thought, it's a first mover, but you can see where the trend goes, where things are going. And then just, it's sort of like a mass market application of, on-chain tech and NFTs are a part of that. Then if you want to buy an NFT, you have to set up a MetaMask, and you have to save your recovery phrase. And if you lose that phrase, then it's you lose it for you lost your funds forever. And it's very, very scary for a lot of people. But then if you want to buy an NFT, you have to first buy crypto somewhere, send it to your wallet. Then you have to buy the NFT with that crypto. And so we thought, okay, we definitely believe in the disruptive nature of NFTs, and that they're going to be a major part of our lives in the future. And so we looked at making that easier with a product that basically allows to buy an NFT directly with your credit or debit card, and also a variety of other payment methods that we have.
It's really cool. Just out of the curious, are you guys like owning any NFT?
Yeah, in a few different projects.
Mm-hmm.
I
don't know if I want to check them right now. The full price.
Too many.
I was going to say I was sadly late, but actually maybe on that point, maybe I was lucky to be late on a few. I only picked up a few like small ones just for the novelty factor, but I missed the big wild ride of the Bored Apes and CryptoPunks and all the other kind of blue chip NFTs. But then maybe in some cases it's good that I didn't jump on the board too late after they lost a lot of value.
Yeah, that's really great. But for me, I think I own just only like one NFT, but it's more likely that someone give it to me. So it's I'm not really buying it. So it's
what is it?
It's actually a crypto dog. So it's like it's like a corgi dog. So this NFT is actually belong to a YouTuber. So yeah, so the value is not that much, but it's still a gift. So I really appreciate that. So
very nice.
Okay, so let's move to the more about Banxa. So what are the challenges that Banxa faces when adopting solution in CSAO?
I think, Banxa's core focus, and I guess our thesis for building this business, is that regulation will continue to shape the industry in crypto. And I think we've continued to see that over the previous sort of 5-10 years. It's continued to come in, and it's actually a really good thing for the long-term adoption of this space. And so our way of approaching that is that we go and get local licenses in as many countries as possible, and then we connect in as many payment rails as possible to allow all these crypto platforms to have their users on board and off board really seamlessly. But in terms of Southeast Asia region, and for us to be able to execute that strategy, it is actually probably one of the more trickier areas of the world to try and provide payment infrastructure as well as regulatory infrastructure. It's quite fragmented. Compared to, say, Europe. Europe is quite uniform in terms of how you might approach that problem, but every country within Southeast Asia has its own regulatory requirements and obviously unique user demographics in terms of how they like to pay and be paid. And so that's really been a challenge, but also where there are challenges, there's massive opportunity. And for us, thankfully, us being headquartered in Australia, we're really, really well positioned to capitalize on that close location to execute really well in this region. And we have probably the biggest component of our team is actually in the Philippines. And so we're really excited to be soon launching our products in that market. And then we're really looking forward to rolling that out across all of the different key markets across Southeast Asia. And that's from a kind of, I guess, product and payments point of view. And then I guess from a who we're actually providing those products to, I think as Jan mentioned, there's been this explosion of activity, both in NFTs, but more broadly in crypto. And I think we're looking at the gaming segment in particular seems to have massive adoption, and we're really expecting that to grow over the next 2, 3, 4 years. And we really want to make sure we're investing not just our time and resources into building out the payments and regulatory infrastructure, but then also providing the tools that can then these games can plug in and really allow their users to quickly buy the NFTs or buy the in-game tokens, or in many cases, for those play-to-earn games, allow them to really seamlessly get paid those earnings directly into their local bank account. So we're really looking at this market as probably our primary growth opportunity over the next few years.
Mm-hmm. So, talking about NFTs, so do you guys what do you guys think about NFT trend in 2022 and the upcoming years? Because you guys are mentioning NFT is really it's like a main factor of every business right now. So how do you guys think about that? Is NFT gonna be the main factor that could lead people to blockchain and to more business and user?
Good question. I think, when it comes to NFTs, we're still very early. So I think, and often it comes down to the utility. Is there actually something that creates an additional value for the user? And I think, if you look, for example, at the gaming side, suddenly, being able to trade in-game assets, aka NFTs in that case, on secondary markets and monetizing with that, for example, is a good utility, I think. And so I definitely see that kind of gaming sector expanding further. And we know, looking at sort of, some indicators like the venture capital funding going in this direction, the talent that is going in this direction, it gives the impression that there's a lot being built right now that we don't see yet, but it's going to come. So particularly on the gaming side. And then I think we're seeing, NFTs also in other sectors where there's kind of a lot of not a lot of, but quite a few sort of larger Web2 brands who want to use that to use NFTs to activate new customer segments or engage with their customers differently. And so I think a good example was Starbucks. I think they have one of the most powerful loyalty programs with the most customers in the world. They have not scrapped that program, but they have added a crypto program, a crypto loyalty program as well, that comes with NFTs. So you can kind of see that is, still, I would say, early days, but also a very interesting use case. And then I guess what we're seeing as well is fashion brands trying to activate users with NFTs and like NFT drops, where you can then basically express your personality in, the metaverse, so to speak. And I guess there's a few interesting use cases, and definitely, I think it's still very early, a lot still to be developed, but like you can kind of like already see the trend a little bit.
Okay, that's interesting. So you were mentioning about Starbucks. So I also like see the news article about, like Starbucks had like, entered NFT. And so on. Like I also see there are many celebrity and also like many big company brand, like I think it's Coca-Cola, and like soft drink and so on. They are starting to like beginning to enter the NFT world and also metaverse. So it's like, it's really interesting right now that people are interested in NFT and crypto blockchain in general. That's really amazing.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, particularly if you sort of think like we were talking about how things were in 2017, like if those news would have broken at the time, that was like unthinkable of. So you can see how far we've come.
Yeah, I love that all these massive brands are just so open to exploring what this new technology means for them and how they can properly leverage it. It kind of reminds me, I was probably a bit younger at the time, but it reminds me a lot of the e-commerce boom, or even just sort of the web boom in the sort of the mid to late 90s. Suddenly a lot of big brands could have websites, and those, they started launching their websites, and that got traction, but you couldn't actually do a whole lot with them at the time. But over the sort of following 5-10 years, it really exploded in properly adding utility to people's day-to-day lives. And so I think just from that point of view, what's most exciting is just seeing that we've got the tooling really becoming available as we speak. And it's I don't know, I probably can't imagine all the different use cases, and probably nobody can, but I'm most excited to see what that looks like over the next sort of 2 to 5 years, and of how it actually gets used in day-to-day life.
Yeah. I also think it's really interesting. So like, back in the past, like when people like haven't known about like internet, and when they started to like reach out to internet, and everything is like, seems like a new world. So for me, like I think it's like blockchain right now is also similar to the next internet. So yeah, I think can't wait for the future, what's gonna happen to the Web3 and the adoption of everyone. So that's really great. So I have a question for you, Josh. So I have seen that you have a wide range of experience in compliances, risk, and project management, and you also play like different roles in Banxa from 2019 until now. So what is your point of view of the Banxa business model, and what are these companies like, the advantages and disadvantages compared to other competitors in the market?
Yeah, I mean, great question. I mean, if I cast my mind back, I was actually originally hired into Banxa. At the time, it was a bitcoin.com.au, so we were more of a B2C focused business. But I was hired in because Australia was one of the first countries to bring in crypto regulation, and it was really my role to help make sure that we could operationalize and build out that compliance capability within the business, so that we understood all of the different risks, and not just that, but we could manage those risks, but also understand where the opportunities were, so that we could then provide value to the industry. And so, I mean, I guess my background has really, the first couple of years was focused on that compliance piece, and really understanding how then we can solve for the payments piece. And it's probably very much in line with what Banxa's core capabilities are. And so I guess I mentioned earlier, we're really focused, and we truly believe that regulation will continue to shape this industry, and that every country is going to have some sort of crypto regulation requirements. The reality right now is that most global platforms or crypto companies, they typically serve their customer base out of one country, where they're regulated, but they serve them globally through card payments. longer term, that's probably not going to be allowed to continue for much longer. And we've already seen the realities of that in some of the markets we're in. So in the US, you obviously, you need to have local regulation and licenses to be able to offer your services in that country for crypto customers. And same thing in the Netherlands, you need to have a Dutch registration to be able to serve those customers. And so long way of saying that we go and get those local licenses. Long term, it provides all of our partners and our merchant customer base with long-term stability, because we're not going to suddenly get kicked out of many countries, whereas I think that will really start to happen over the next few years. But probably most importantly, how do we add value today? Is that by having these licenses, it actually enables us to connect directly into the local payment rails in those countries. And so we're able to offer payments that most of the industry can't access. And I love to point out like Ideal in the Netherlands, Interac in Canada, we've got local bank transfers in Turkey, obviously in Australia, about to launch in the Philippines, etc. And so not only do we provide these local payments, we can access more customers, more users, and they pay less fees because it's local. It's usually instant transfers, it's larger amounts, and there's a higher level of trust. So I guess in terms of what that all equals is that we have the access to the largest customer base, as well as having the most preferred payments to make sure that we can provide maximum conversion to any platform that wants to onboard or offboard users into Web3.
Okay.
Sorry, that was such a long way of explaining that.
It's okay, no worries.
It's a complicated topic.
It is.
I mean, my audience really wants to know more insight, right? So no worry, just feel free to share. Yes. So how about you, John? So do you have any input, any information for Josh?
No, I mean, I think I can just, add to what Josh was saying in terms of, regulation being really in such a nascent industry, now being the key driver to build, successful, or like something that you really have to pay attention to and you have to get right. I think, for example, you just saw like headlines today about, even as we're talking about NFTs, the SEC investigating Yuga Labs for the BAYC, like NFTs and so on. Like it is, despite it's not fun for many people building, projects in crypto yet, it's just, you have to play by the rules. And I guess, like that is really what we focus on to make that entry point so that others don't have to, because we know it's such a pain point, we kind of like specialize in fixing it for others, and regulation will only continue to further evolve as well.
It's probably worth just adding, as complicated as Jan and I make this sound, I think the part that we love is that we are able to just provide a product which is like a drag and drop API to actually solve it, so that all these partners that we work with don't have to worry about all the headaches that we deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Don't worry. So I saw that the last month, 2021, so Banxa recorded a remarkable 337% year over year. So can you share this figure in the year of the bear market, 2022? And what is your plan for the next year to increase your growth?
So in terms of growth, I guess, this year, certainly I don't have the actual numbers at hand because we're just going through those at the moment. Here in Australia, the financial year is a different time of the year. But I guess, we've definitely seen volumes like decline in line with the market. Like, we sell crypto to end users. So there has certainly been like a little bit of a decline in terms of volume. But on the good side, what we've done is we sort of diversified our product portfolio to certain other different services as well that create new revenue streams for us. And so that is that has been part of it. And I guess the other thing is also, we were talking about NFTs earlier. So we launched the new product around purchasing NFTs directly. And now we're looking at the numbers there, and we're actually seeing still growth in that segment, and even in the current market. And we're also seeing that, people still love to buy NFTs, even if the, market prices for, BTC and ETH and other assets go down. And so I think, it's certainly, different market environment this year, but we're still, quite positive. And I guess also we've been through that before as well. Like we went through the 2017 to 2018 kind of crash, and so I think we learned a lot of lessons there that we can implement now.
That's great. Anything you want to input in, Josh?
Yeah. I mean, I would probably just add that we also know that as great as the bull market was and as bad as a bear market might seem, we also know that everyone's building in the bear market, and more people are building in this bear market than there were in the previous one, and so forth. And so that when the bull market does eventually return in, whether it's next year or the year after or whenever, that number of builders in this Web3 space is going to continue to explode. And so I think apart from a growth point of view, we know that the products that we can offer are actually going to grow in categories, and it's really about us being able to deliver those and be ready for when that bull market hits, because we want to make sure that we're solving those hard problems. So that means that we provide that easy solution for that painful block, and then they can stand on our shoulders and deliver something truly great to the market that's going to see that eventual adoption of crypto into everyone's day-to-day lives. And probably the other piece I would also say is I think what we're just generally seeing a lot of Web2 companies wanting to enter the Web3 space and really being able to provide a product suite that allows them to do this in a really seamless way, I think is important. So yeah, in terms of growth, I mean, I'm more excited about the years ahead than the years that have just gone by.
Okay, so
that brand interest is. Oh, sorry, I was just adding to that. The interest we're seeing from like blue chip kind of top brands has never been stronger than it has been this year, and I think that is sort of a really good indicator for like future outlook, really.
And maybe just an example. So we recently just enabled buying and selling of crypto directly within LG app. So they've recently just launched a wallet for iOS and Android, and that allows users to buy and sell NFTs on smart televisions. And we've really been helping them launch that product by providing some of the first rails in and out of the ecosystem that they've been working with.
That's really interesting. So talking about Web3, so for me, I'm also interested in Web3, like, a lot. So what make you guys think that, the adoption, it's not the adoption, the movement from Web2 to Web3 is like, it's kind of slow down right now. It's not really, people starting to like look at Web3 and saying like, wow, this is amazing, let me try it. So it's kind of slowed down. So what do you guys think that what make it slow adoption like that, movement like that?
It's funny that you say that, because we're all sort of native Web3 or crypto builders, and I think for us, a week is the equivalent of probably like 2 years of any kind of regular company's time in terms of our expectations and how much can change. So I think on the crypto native companies that build, everything moves really, really fast. But then, traditional Web2 or even more traditional companies than that, they actually do move quite slowly, and it is a risk adjustment. They have a lot more to lose, I suppose. And so they really want to be sure of understanding how a technology works, how it's truly going to add, dollars to their bottom line. And so I think you see a lot of announcements and marketing from a lot of these big companies during the bull cycle, because they want to get their customer base understanding that, hey, they're going to be part of the future. But when that bear comes through, like, they're actually really just trying to still work out exactly what the best solutions to be providing. So I think a lot of them are actually working hard in the background. There's just much longer delivery cycles to see those products get launched into the market. I'm not sure you had a different view.
No, I mean, I 100% agree. And I think like it sort of comes back to that utility use case again, like, an end user who's never touched crypto before, if there's no good utility or reason for them to like, join Web3, then it might just be slow adoption. And I think that was certainly like a little bit fueled by the market last year, just on like a speculative side. But I think, again, like, we're so early to see those kind of use cases being developed, and I think like it's just the building time, so to speak, right now. But it really comes down to utility, because like I'm not sure, like, so of the Web2 users, there's certainly like I think a few that sort of value the Web3 they look at Web3 values of being decentralized and no middleman and basically those kind of values. But then there's also some people that don't care; they just want good utility, and that I think is where we're still catching up.
Yeah, I think it's also Web3 is something new. So it is compared to the movement for people like when they first know about internet, they growing really fast. Like everyone started to use internet, and especially when Facebook is starting to the first social media, and everyone just join the Facebook, and everyone have the Facebook account. People are asking hey, what's your Facebook? But I think like you guys said, right now the Web2 to Web3 is also it's slowed down a bit, but I also think positive that in the future, because right now a lot of big brand is joining the crypto and blockchain world already, and since this Web3 maybe in the future is gonna have a mass adoption, so we're gonna stay positive, right?
Yeah, definitely. We see some large Web2 companies every day, and they're all looking for advice on how to best execute and understand how they can use some of Banxa's products to do that. So we're pretty excited about what's happening in the space.
So so before we end the podcast today, so I wonder if you guys have any sharing to the Coincu audience for them to let you guys know about more about Banxa and everything. So feel free to share.
Yeah, I think if anyone isn't familiar with Banxa's platform, then please do check out some of our larger partners and see the products and services that we offer. I think Banxa's focus for the next 12 months is going to be to continue to execute and provide the best payments and regulatory infrastructure. But for the users and the customers and the platforms, it's going to be all about what payments we can offer and how easy it is to integrate. And I think anyone who's a builder and really wants to have that problem solved for buying and selling crypto or doing NFT checkouts or doing payouts or whatever it might be, please do check out Banxa. We've probably got the best payment stack in the market, we would say.
Okay, thank you for your sharing.
And follow us on our socials, on our platforms, so you see all the product updates, any new markets, payments we're launching, so you can always stay up to date.
So that's great. Thank you for sharing, John. So before we end, I'm just curious, are you guys gonna attending any other upcoming event?
We had a lot this year, so we may sometimes we're quite spontaneous, so maybe. What about you?
I also have a really tight schedule as well, but I decided to since when I'm out of the office, there are a lot of work that I need to handle, so maybe I will let some of my team go instead of me. So okay. What about you, Josh? So what about you, Josh?
We're looking at whether or not we go to the Singapore FinTech Festival. There's Money 2020 coming up, and then there's obviously I know there's ETH Lisbon coming up as well. So there's a lot going on around the world. It's just making sure we choose the right conferences, because otherwise we'll never get off the plane.
Okay, so for me, I think Singapore is pretty near me. So if you guys ever attend any event in Singapore, just feel free to PM me.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's really nice to catch up with you guys in real life. But yeah, so thank you again for joining the podcast today. So that's it for the third episode of the Coincunews podcast. Thank you, John. Thank you, Josh, for joining today's podcast. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kaz. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.